Welcome to E-commerce Psychology, the show that dives into, well, the psychology of why people buy stuff online.
That's right. We're peeling back the layers of the brain to see what makes online shoppers tick.
And a huge thanks to Growth Suite for powering this deep dive, by the way.
Absolutely. Growth Suite helps you run those smart discount campaigns on your Shopify store.
You can test it out for free. Just search for it on the Shopify App Store.
Okay, so today we are tackling a question that I'm sure every online store owner has pondered at some point.
Yeah, like, do men and women actually shop differently online?
Exactly. And I don't just mean what they buy.
Right, but how their brains, like, literally engage with an e-commerce website.
Totally. To help us decode all of this, we're going deep into an article called Gender Differences in Neural Processing of E-commerce Environments.
Catchy title.
I know, right?
Yep.
It's by Mohammed Tufekpan over at the E-commerce Psychology blog.
So this article is basically a treasure trove of research on this topic.
It really is. And by the end of this deep dive, you'll have some seriously actionable insights to make your store even more brain-friendly.
Love that, brain-friendly. Okay, so, for anyone who isn't, like, totally up on the latest in neuroscience and marketing,
Yeah.
what exactly is neuromarketing?
And why should we care?
Yeah, like, why should we care?
It's a great question. It's fascinating how we used to rely on these really broad stereotypes in marketing, like women love to browse or men just want the best deal.
Totally.
But now with neuromarketing, we can actually, peer into the black box of the brain.
Whoa.
And get real data on how people react. It's really turning a lot of those assumptions on their head.
Okay, so it's like instead of just guessing what people are thinking, we're actually seeing what's happening in their brains.
Precisely. It helps us understand the why behind shopping behavior, not just the what.
That is so cool.
For example, imagine you're A/B testing two different product images.
Okay.
Neuromarketing could actually reveal why one image leads to more purchases.
Wow.
Based on how it activates different brain regions.
Oh, that's so interesting. So the article mentions some pretty wild differences between male and female brains.
Yeah.
Physically different.
Well, I mean, it's not like they're from different planets.
Right.
But there are these subtle variations. For instance, women, on average, tend to have a larger corpus callosum.
Corpus callosum.
Yeah, it's the bridge connecting the two hemispheres of the brain.
Okay.
And this might mean that they can process information more holistically, integrating emotions and logic more seamlessly.
Oh, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does a bigger corpus callosum, how does that actually translate to the online shopping experience?
Oh, that's a great question. Let's say you're selling a high-end skincare product.
Okay.
A woman might be more attuned to the overall brand story.
Okay, yeah.
The elegant design of the website.
The vibes.
The vibes, exactly. And the emotional appeal of, feeling pampered.
Yeah.
It's not just about the ingredients, it's about the whole package.
Totally.
A man, on the other hand, might be more drawn to a clear list of benefits, scientific evidence backing up the claims.
Yeah.
Maybe a straightforward comparison to competitor products.
Like just the facts, ma'am.
Just the facts.
Interesting. So it's almost like women are taking in the whole vibe while men want the bullet points.
That's a great way to put it. It's about appealing to those different ways of processing information.
Makes sense. What about the the visual aspect?
Oh, yeah.
Does the article say anything about how men and women process what they see online?
It does. There are also differences in gray matter distribution.
Gray matter.
It's the part of the brain involved in processing information.
Got it.
And this could mean that men and women actually perceive visuals on a product page differently.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this gets really complex.
Yeah, it definitely can.
So if I'm designing a website, should I have two completely separate versions, one for men and one for women?
Not necessarily. It's more about understanding the nuances and designing in a way that caters to a wider range of brain processing styles.
Okay.
For example, instead of bombarding visitors with tons of flashy graphics and pop-ups, consider a cleaner layout with high-quality product photography and clear calls to action.
That makes sense.
This can reduce cognitive overload for everyone,
Right.
but it can be especially appealing to women who might be more sensitive to visual clutter.
So it's kind of like designing for the most sensitive brain in the room, and then everyone benefits.
Exactly. You create an experience that feels intuitive and enjoyable regardless of gender.
Now, one thing that always makes me nervous online is trust.
Oh, yeah.
How can I, as a store owner, make sure that my site like feels trustworthy?
Well,
Especially knowing there are all these like brain differences at play.
it's a great question, and trust is such a crucial element in e-commerce. And it's a complex process in the brain.
Yeah.
We have a whole network of areas involved,
Right.
like the ventromedial prefrontal cortex.
Ventromedial prefrontal
It
cortex.
helps us evaluate risks,
Yeah.
and the amygdala, which is kind of like our internal alarm system.
So my brain is doing all this risk assessment behind the scenes.
Exactly. It's constantly weighing potential threats and rewards.
But does this trust system work differently for men and women?
Research suggests that it might. Women, for instance, may be more attuned to those subtle cues.
Okay.
The overall aesthetic of the site, the tone of the copywriting,
Yeah.
even the quality of the product photography.
So if I want to make my site feel trustworthy to women, I need to like sweat the small stuff.
In a way, yes. Think about it this way. If you walk into a physical store and it's messy, disorganized, and poorly lit, you might get a sense that they don't really care about their customers.
Totally. Yeah.
The same goes for an online store. A cohesive brand identity, high-quality visuals, and well-written copy
Okay.
can signal that you're invested in creating a positive experience.
It's like I'm signaling that I care about the details, so I'm probably going to handle their order with care too.
Exactly. You're building that sense of trust and reliability.
What about for men?
Yeah.
What are they looking for?
While everyone appreciates a well-designed site,
Yeah.
men might place a higher value on things like clear security badges,
Okay.
straightforward return policies,
Yeah.
and maybe testimonials from other customers. It's less about feeling and more about concrete proof.
Got it. Got it. So it's not about having two different websites.
Right.
It's about layering in different elements that appeal to these different trust pathways.
Precisely. You're creating a more universally trustworthy experience.
That makes a lot of sense. What about this cognitive load thing the article talks about?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like my brain is on overload just thinking about all this.
Well, that's a great example of cognitive load in action.
Really?
Yeah, it's basically how much mental effort it takes to process information. Think of your brain like a computer. And a cluttered website is like opening a million tabs at once.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It slows everything down.
And you're saying this overload can affect men and women differently.
Potentially, yes. While everyone has their limits, some research indicates that women might be more sensitive to visual overload.
Okay.
They might prefer a website that's visually calm and easy to navigate, while men might be able to handle a bit more complexity without feeling overwhelmed.
So as a rule of thumb, like I should aim for a cleaner design overall.
It's not just about minimalism, it's about clarity.
Okay.
Think about using visual hierarchy to guide the eye, clear headings and subheadings, bullet points for easy scanning,
Yeah.
and plenty of white space to give the brain a break.
Okay, I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
The article also mentions this empathizing systemizing theory. What is that, and why should I care about it?
Okay, so imagine two people looking at the same product description.
Okay.
One person is drawn to the vivid language
Mm-hmm.
that evokes emotions, like imagine yourself feeling confident and unstoppable in this power suit.
Okay. Yeah.
The other person wants a bulleted list of features.
Okay.
The fabric composition, care instructions. It's like two totally different ways of connecting with a product.
So it's like two different ways of connecting with a product. Yeah.
Exactly. The empathizing systemizing theory suggests that people tend to lean towards either empathizing, which focuses on understanding others' feelings,
Okay.
or systemizing, which is about analyzing patterns and logic.
Okay.
And on average, women may score higher on empathizing, while men may lean more towards systemizing.
So instead of like writing product descriptions that only appeal to one style, I should offer both emotional and factual information.
Yeah.
Give people the feels and the specs.
That's a great way to put it. By speaking to both the heart and the head, you increase the chances of your message resonating.
I love that. This is making me think about how I write my website copy entirely differently.
It's all about understanding those different perspectives.
Okay. All right. We talked about brains, trust, and even like how to write a good product description.
Yeah.
But how do researchers actually study all of this?
Right.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It's pretty amazing, actually. Scientists use tools like fMRI to see which brain regions light up when someone views a product page.
Whoa.
EEG to measure those like lightning fast electrical signals in the brain,
Wow.
and eye tracking to see where people's attention goes.
Okay.
They're literally mapping the brain's response to e-commerce.
So they're watching people shop while like hooked up to all sorts of brain scanning gizmos.
Pretty much, yeah.
But how do they know they're getting accurate results?
That's a great question.
Like, how do you make sure someone acts normally while they're strapped into an fMRI machine?
That's a great question, and scientists are very aware of that potential issue.
Hmm.
They design experiments to be as ecologically valid as possible,
Ecologically valid.
meaning they try to make the experience feel like real online shopping.
Okay.
They might create simulated online stores that look and feel like the real deal,
Okay.
or they might use standardized visual or textual stimuli
Okay.
to compare how genders respond to the same product images or marketing messages.
So they're controlling for variables to make sure they're isolating the impact of gender on brain activity.
Exactly. It's not just someone freaking out about being in a lab.
Right.
And they often combine this brain data with behavioral measures,
Okay.
like how long someone dwells on a page,
Okay.
or whether they click on a call to action. It creates a much richer picture.
That's so cool. Wow, this is all so mind-blowing. I'm starting to think about my online store in a whole new light.
I think that's the goal.
We've covered a lot of ground here, but before we go deeper, let's take a moment to thank Growth Suite for making this deep dive possible.
Yes, thank you, Growth Suite.
Growth Suite helps you run smart discount campaigns on your Shopify store.
Test it out for free on your Shopify store.
Just visit the Shopify App Store and download it today. We'll be back in a flash to uncover even more fascinating insights about how men and women shop differently online.
See you soon.
We're back with e-commerce psychology, and we're still geeking out about how to make your online store irresistible.
Using the power of brain science, of course.
Exactly. And before we go any further, a quick reminder that this deep dive is powered by Growth Suite.
Absolutely. If you are looking to run smarter discount campaigns on your Shopify store, Growth Suite is a game changer.
You can test it out for free on the Shopify App Store. Just search for it. Super easy.
Okay, so before that quick message, we were talking about how even something as simple as a product description can be written to appeal to different ways of thinking.
Yeah, you mentioned that women, on average, might be more drawn to emotional language, while men might prefer those hard facts and specs.
Right, and again, this isn't to say that all women are like touchy-feely and all men are robots, right?
Right, of course.
It's about understanding these like general tendencies and using them to your advantage.
Okay, so how do I actually put this into practice?
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Okay, let's say you're selling a new line of athleisure wear.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of just listing the fabric composition and the features,
Yeah.
try weaving in some language that evokes the experience.
Okay.
For example, you could say something like, imagine yourself feeling confident and unstoppable in these leggings, whether you're hitting the gym or running errands.
Okay, so I'm painting a picture appealing to that emotional connection.
Exactly.
But I'm guessing I shouldn't completely ditch the facts, right?
Definitely not. You still want to provide those key details, but you can do it in a way that feels more engaging.
Okay.
Instead of just saying, like, moisture-wicking fabric. Yeah. You could say something like, stay cool and dry no matter how intense your workout gets, thanks to our breathable, moisture-wicking fabric.
So I'm still giving them the information they need, but I'm framing it in a way that connects with both the emotional and practical sides of their brains.
Exactly. And this approach can apply to your website copy, your product descriptions, even your social media posts. It's about, thinking about how your message will land with different types of brains.
It's making me rethink my whole marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Now, the article also touched on this idea of social proof and how it plays into our decision-making.
Yeah.
We all know that online reviews can be super influential, but is there like a brain-based reason for that?
Absolutely. When we see that other people have had positive experiences with a product or company, it activates our social influence networks.
Okay.
These are the same brain circuits that light up when we're like interacting with friends and family or like trying to fit in with a group.
Oh, wow. So we're basically hardwired to care about what other people think.
Yeah.
Even if those other people are like complete strangers on the internet.
It's a deeply ingrained survival mechanism. In the past, our ability to cooperate and learn from others was essential for survival.
Right.
So it makes sense that our brains are still like attuned to those social cues.
It's interesting how these really primal instincts, they still play such a huge role in our modern lives.
Absolutely. They're woven into the fabric of our brains.
But is there any difference in how men and women respond to social proof? Like, do they look for different things in a review?
There's some research that suggests there might be subtle differences.
Okay.
For example, Women might be more attuned to the emotional tone of a review.
Oh, okay.
They might be swayed by a review that says, I absolutely love this product. It made me feel so confident and beautiful.
Okay.
Whereas a man might be more interested in a review that kind of breaks down the product's features and benefits in a more like objective way.
Yeah. He's looking for those hard facts, right?
Right, exactly. He might be looking for a review that says like, this product is incredibly well made, it's durable, reliable, and it performs exactly as advertised.
So if I'm showcasing reviews on my website, I should try to include like a mix of those different styles.
That's a great strategy. Offer a variety of reviews that speak to different needs and preferences. You might even consider like categorizing them or using filters to help shoppers find the reviews that are most relevant to them.
That's a really good tip. Okay, now let's talk about rewards.
Ooh, rewards.
We all love a good deal.
Absolutely.
But is there more to it than just saving money? Like, is there something happening in our brains when we snag that discount?
Absolutely. Remember dopamine, that feel-good chemical we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Well, it plays a major role in how we experience pleasure and motivation. And guess what? The anticipation of a reward can trigger a surge of dopamine in the brain.
So basically, getting a good deal can be like a mini dopamine rush.
Yeah.
And no wonder I love a good sale.
Exactly. And what's interesting is that men and women might experience those rewards differently.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. Tell me more.
Some research suggests that women might get a bigger dopamine hit in the anticipation phase.
Okay.
Like when they add an item to their cart or see a flash sale pop up.
Okay.
It's the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of finding a great deal.
Okay.
Whereas men might get that dopamine rush when they actually complete the purchase and have that new gadget in their hands.
Okay, so for women, it's the thrill of the chase, and for men, it's the satisfaction of the capture.
That's one way to put it. It's about appealing to those different reward pathways.
So if I'm running a sale or a promotion, I should really play up that anticipation for women, like create a sense of urgency or exclusivity.
Exactly. Highlight those limited time offers, flash sales, early bird discounts,
Yeah.
Make it feel like they're getting a special deal that they don't want to miss out on. And for men, make sure the checkout process is as quick and easy as possible. They want that instant gratification of knowing they've snagged the deal.
Okay, so streamline the checkout for men, make it super easy, and for women, really build up that anticipation leading up to the sale.
Precisely. It's all about understanding those subtle nuances in how our brains respond to rewards.
This is all so fascinating. I'm already thinking about how I can use these insights to create a more rewarding and engaging shopping experience for my customers. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one more crucial aspect of e-commerce.
Okay, yeah.
Mobile shopping.
Oh, mobile shopping. That's a big one.
I know, we're all glued to our phones these days.
Right.
But you're saying those tiny screens can actually be a turnoff, especially for some women.
Remember, those smaller screens demand more focused attention, and that can be mentally draining.
Yeah.
So your mobile site needs to be super streamlined. Clear navigation, big buttons, concise text. Make it as frictionless as possible. And, a lot of people will abandon their shopping carts if the mobile experience is just too frustrating.
Oh, yeah. I've definitely been there. Like, if I have to, pinch and zoom a million times just to read a product description, I'm out.
Exactly. It's all about making it as easy as possible for people to shop on their phones.
So no more tiny fonts or trying to cram my entire desktop website onto a phone screen.
Keep it simple, keep it clear, and make sure it loads quickly.
Got it. Fast loading is key. Nobody wants to wait around for a slow website on their phone.
Nobody has time for that.
Okay, so we've talked about visuals, trust, social proof rewards, and mobile.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but it's so fascinating.
Absolutely.
Now, I know we've been focusing a lot on those gender differences.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, what about those shoppers who don't identify as strictly male or female? How do they fit into all of this?
That's such an important point, and it's an area where we need more research. The traditional male-female binary doesn't capture the full spectrum of gender identity, and it's crucial that we move towards a more inclusive understanding of how people shop online.
So are you saying that, the research we've been discussing might not apply to everyone?
Not necessarily. There are likely some universal principles that apply across the board.
Okay.
But it's important to recognize that individual experiences can vary widely. As we get more data on how people of different gender identities engage with e-commerce, we'll be able to create even more personalized and inclusive experiences.
That makes a lot of sense. So as a store owner, what's my takeaway here? How do I make sure I'm not alienating potential customers?
It's about being mindful of the language you use, the imagery you choose, and the overall tone of your brand. Avoid reinforcing stereotypes or making assumptions about what people like or dislike based on their gender identity.
So it's more about appealing to individual needs and preferences than trying to categorize people into neat little boxes.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that everyone's brain is unique.
Yeah.
And the more we understand those individual differences, the better we'll be able to create e-commerce experiences that resonate with everyone.
That's such a good point. We're all individuals at the end of the day.
We are.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I'm already thinking about how I can apply these insights to my own online store.
Me too. It's
Okay.
really fascinating stuff.
All right, we are wrapping up this deep dive into e-commerce psychology with a look at what all of this brain science means for your bottom line.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have, from
Uh-huh.
those physical differences in our brains to how we experience trust and rewards online.
Right. It's amazing how much is going on behind the scenes.
It really is. And a big thank you again to Growth Suite for making this deep dive possible.
Absolutely. Growth Suite is a fantastic tool.
I am already brainstorming a million ways to use those smart discount campaigns on my store.
It's a game changer for sure. And listeners, remember, you can test it out for free on the Shopify App Store.
Just search for Growth Suite. Okay, so to bring it all home, let's talk about actionable steps. You're an online store owner.
Yeah.
You're hearing all this stuff about men and women's brains. What do you actually do with that information?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
It is. It's easy to get lost in the science, but at the end of the day, we want sales.
We do. So how do you translate all of this brain science into a website that converts?
Exactly.
Well, first, remember, it's about appealing to a range of brain styles, not, pigeonholing people.
Right.
Your website shouldn't scream men's store or women's store.
Unless that's truly your niche.
Exactly. It's about those subtle tweaks that make the experience better for everyone.
Okay, so what? Give us some concrete examples.
Sure, let's start with visuals. Instead of a homepage that's this chaotic mess of banners and pop-ups,
Yeah.
consider a cleaner layout. High-quality product photography is key,
Okay.
especially if you're selling something where aesthetics matter, like fashion or home decor.
So less is more.
Not always, but clarity is crucial. Think about visual hierarchy.
Okay.
What do you want the eye to be drawn to first? Make sure your call to action buttons are prominent and easy to click,
Okay.
regardless of screen size.
What about those differences in how we experience trust online?
Yeah.
How can I make my website feel secure, feel trustworthy
Right.
for both the detail-oriented folks and those who just want those cold, hard facts?
That's about layering. Yes, have those trust badges from reputable security companies.
Okay.
Make sure your return policy is crystal clear and easy to find,
Uh-huh.
but also pay attention to those subtler cues. A well-designed website, professional product photos, even error-free copywriting, all of that signals competence.
Yeah, it's like the online equivalent of walking into a clean, well-organized store.
Exactly.
It just makes you feel like they've got their act together.
Right, you get that sense of professionalism.
Mhm.
And don't forget social proof. Showcase those positive reviews.
Oh, yeah.
But think about variety.
Okay.
Some people want to hear about how a product made someone feel.
Uh-huh.
Others want those nitty-gritty details.
So I might have a review that says, this dress is so flattering. I felt amazing wearing it.
Yeah.
Right next to a review that breaks down the fabric quality and the fit.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
giving shoppers a social proof they need to make a confident decision, whatever their preference.
I love that. Okay, and remember those brain differences we talked about. They can also extend to how we experience rewards online.
Absolutely.
So think about ways to create that sense of anticipation and excitement, especially for women.
Right.
Highlight those limited time offers, exclusive deals. Make it feel like they're getting something special.
Exactly. Create that sense of urgency.
Like a countdown timer on a flash sale.
Oh, that's a great example.
Mhm.
And for men, make sure that checkout process is as quick and easy as possible.
Yeah, they want that instant gratification, knowing that they snagged the deal.
Okay, last but not least, mobile. We're all attached to our phones these days. But you're saying those tiny screens can actually be a turnoff for some shoppers.
They can, especially if the experience isn't optimized. Remember, those smaller screens demand more focused attention, and that can be mentally draining. So your mobile site needs to be super streamlined.
Okay.
Clear navigation, big buttons, concise text.
Got it. Got it.
Make it as frictionless as possible.
So no more tiny fonts or trying to, like, cram my entire desktop website onto a phone screen.
Less is more when it comes to mobile.
Okay, keep it simple, keep it clear, make sure it loads quickly.
Exactly. Those are the keys to a successful mobile experience.
Wow, this has been an incredibly insightful journey into the world of e-commerce psychology. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how my customers' brains work
Me too. It's been a fascinating conversation.
and how I can use that knowledge to create a more effective and enjoyable shopping experience for everyone.
That's the goal.
It is. And a final thank you to Growth Suite for powering this deep dive.
Absolutely. Thank you, Growth Suite.
Don't forget, listeners, you can try it out for free on your Shopify store. Just search for Growth Suite on the Shopify App Store. Until next time, keep those brains happy and those sales rolling in.
We'll see you next time.